Check 1, 2. That sound all right? All right, folks. G'day, g'day, g'day. That's 2.5 bells. I suppose that's as good as time as any to get rolling here on this rascal. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the annual Junior Steer Jackpot here at Canadian Western Agribition. Backed by popular demand. This event was on hiatus for a few years since I've been told just prior to COVID. With that, we'll get underway here. Introducing our judge today, Mr. Justin Van de Woestijn. Justin, Nicole, and Waylon Van de Woestijn own and operate Vandy Cattle near Benson, Saskatchewan. So welcome, Justin. Thank you for being here. This much? Yeah. Coming in split number 1, Class 1, steer calf born in 2024. Leading the way, entry number 502, Ringo Star, shown by Olivia Peterson. This calf weighs in at 592 pounds. Behind her, entry number 503, Scarface, shown by Tate Wheeler. This calf weighs in at 672 pounds. Entry 504, Peter, shown by Peyton Gee, weighing in at 682 pounds. Entry number 505, Bacardi, shown by Courtney Hansen, and this calf weighs in at 688 pounds. Leading up the tail end of this split, Milton, entry number 506, shown by Harrison Peterson from Mydale, Saskatchewan, weighing in at 708 pounds, this calf does. While Mr. Van de Woestijn is doing his thing, might as well pay some bills here while we're at it. We'd like to thank Connexus Credit Union. They are proud to be the platinum partner of Canadian Western Agribition. Stop by the Connexus watering hole in the John Deere Sale Arena just behind the stands here for refreshment, or visit the booth, which is number 143 in the ITC, to find out how they can help make your financial dreams a reality. Also want to welcome the folks tuning in on DLMS. Mr. Carter Wood up here, he's doing a bang-up job all week, getting things rolling for you folks online. So welcome, welcome.
I'd just like to thank everybody for having me out here today to evaluate these stock. And we'll just talk about this first class. I'm really happy with this first class of steers out here in front of us. And I just grabbed a sheet just to check some weights. And if this is where we're going to start today, it's going to be a really good day. We're going to start up here with this black steer, the young man showing him. I'd like to commend him on a good job presenting this calf, a good job showing this calf out here. I think when we study this one and we get up close on him, he's not one that blows us away in terms of power, in terms of hip shape. Maybe there's other steers down the line that have a little bit more up high. But I think in terms of how the steer balances up, in terms of the overall structural soundness of the steer, how he gets around the ring, I think this is one that we can see in the long haul, presumably for a summer end date in June or July. This is one that's going to hold together. He's going to feed, and he's going to get there with a lot of ease. And I appreciate him for that. Again, a steer that, maybe gets outpowered by, I'll use the steer in second in terms of overall hip and muscle up high, but one I see a lot of future in. When we get to the black steer, the young lady in second, I like this steer for his power. You get behind him. He's one of the stouter steers in this class. He's long. He's got a lot of top, and he's got a lot where it counts. This steer may be a little bit more mature in his skull, I would say at this point, and maybe just a little harder bodied at this point of his life. I think with more maturity and more time, here's a steer that's going to go out and he's probably going to get better with age. Just today, this probably isn't his day in terms of just where he's at compared to the steer ahead of him. We're going to go down the line. We're going to talk about this yellow steer, and this is a steer with a lot of muscle. He's really square made. He's got a lot of power there. One, I just lose him a little bit, hooks to pins. I think he rounds off a little bit for me today. And I'm just, think this steer maybe come in here and wasn't feeling really comfortable or necessarily fresh today in this ring. Maybe just had a little bit trouble reaching and getting around for me. Smaller ring, I can understand that, but today just wasn't his day. When we get to this bottom pair of steers, we got two that are kind of similar in type, in my opinion, when I read them out here. We got the silver steer that's really attractive up in his front 1/3. He's got a lot of presence about him. He's got a lot of cool things about him today. But one that I just found was maybe having a hard time just getting out and reaching today. He seemed like he was a little bit labored in his front wheels. And maybe a steer that just I could use a little bit more skeletal width at this stage when you get down and you study the base on this calf. This red steer, one that probably gets out here and I think strikes everybody as being one of the most attractive steers, being one of the most, well-presented steers even in this class for that matter. But a steer that just maybe gets a little bit tight in his pasterns today for me. He just isn't getting out and moving good enough for me today. So long term, I see that as potentially an issue with this calf. Thank you.
All right, so the results of split one, to go over that again quick. Coming in first place, Scarface, shown by Tate Wheeler from Wheeler's Stock Farm of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Second place, Bacardi, shown by Courtney Hansen of Hansen Cattle from Weldon, Saskatchewan. Third place, Milton, shown by Harrison Peterson of Golden Pea Farms out of Mydale, Saskatchewan. Fourth place, Ringo Starr, shown by Olivia Peterson of Golden Pea Farms out of Mydale, Saskatchewan. And in fifth place, Peter, shown by Peyton Gee out of C7 Ranch at Mydale, Saskatchewan. Split two coming in the ring. Leading the way is entry number 507, Shabuzi, shown by Braden Hansen. This calf weighs in at 714 pounds. Behind him, Cobra, entry number 508, shown by Lexi Martins. This calf weighs in at 720 pounds. Third in the ring, entry number 509, Teddy. Mason Zwicker is leading him around. That calf weighs in at 750 pounds. Entry 510, Mouse, shown by Briar Blanchette from Edam, Saskatchewan. And last into the ring, entry number 511, KGBL Casamigos 106M. Junior exhibitor is Casey Buchanan, and that calf weighs in at 764 pounds. I'd like to give a little shout out to Norheim Vermeer. They are independently owned and operated. Norheim Ranching offers a range of high quality equipment and products specifically designed for cattle producers, with key brands including Vermeer hay and forage equipment, Supreme International feed mixers, Aeroquip cattle handling equipment, and EBY trailers. The product line is tailored to meet the needs of Western Canadian ranchers. With a commitment to the livestock industry and a product line that continues to grow and adapt, Norheim Ranching can be trusted as your livestock equipment specialist.
We'll talk about our second class here, and I'll admit that the first steer started walking out in the ring, and I thought this one looks really good, and this is going to be a good taste of how this show is going. And I mean, this is quite an impressive class, and we're only 2 in here today. What a set of steers, and I think we're getting to this weight range that, you know, we're right on the money in terms of where we need to be, presumably for these summer end dates. I know everybody's got a little different end date in this deal, and I think that some guys are going to be seeing that in May, some guys June, some guys July, and some of you maybe even August. And so we got to try to see what the future is in these steers, and you know, I'm making adjustments in my mind, hopefully to where I see these cattle going. But we kind of got to stick to something that's similar, and I think there's different steers with different purposes in this class, and I'm sure we're going to see more of that as we get on today. We're going to start this class with a really tough pair up top, and I think that, you know, you could probably argue either one of these steers to me on different things. It's a little bit of a preference in my mind on maybe some credentials that I like to see in these things today. We can pick apart either of these, and you can really justify it, but I think we're going to go with this black and white guy here today. And I think what it comes down to me is length of body and probably just structural correctness. This black steer, you know, I could see him just maybe a tick sounder if we really want to critique him. He gets out in those front wheels a little bit for me today, but he seems to be traveling fine. He seems to be reaching fine. I can really appreciate the length of body in this steer and how he ties himself together. He's an extremely impressive specimen when you start studying him for his muscle shape. He carries that shape right through up to his shoulders, really attractive in that front 1/3, and I think a steer that's going to get along, and we're probably going to get used to seeing him a lot this year going forward. When we talk about the silver steer, he's the one that come in here and probably really hit me the hardest. The longer I study him, I really got to go back to the things that I feel are important to me when we start evaluating these cattle. And I think that sometimes we have a tendency to get these steers a little bit shorter bodied, and that's just kind of where he is today. We start giving up a little bit of pay weight in this calf when we really study him. Right in that, and you know, in his center body. We just need to stretch him out just a hair. Where I'm going to critique him a little bit more is probably on his back wheels. I find he just gets inside on his hocks a little bit for me today. I think that's something that we might see exaggerate the longer his career goes on. From the side, this steer's awful impressive. He's soft-bodied, he's up-headed, he's really powerful, and probably has as nice a silhouette and as nice a profile as anyone in this class. And I really think this is a good steer, and I think we're going to see him a lot this summer as well. We get into the third place steer. He's kind of the wild card in this class for me. He's not really extreme with all the extras and all the parts that some of these other calves have, but I think that this is a calf that just lacks some maturity, and probably one that we're really going to get along with as we see him progress. I think this is a steer that just maybe speaks to the fundamentals of what we're doing in terms of beef production. He's maybe not as woofy-legged and, you know, as freaky-necked as some of these other calves out here today, but one that I can get along with. He's soft-bodied, he's got adequate muscle, he's structurally sound, and he's just put together right. He's maybe one of the fresher steers in this class today. We get into our fourth place steer. This guy walked in first, of course. He hit me really hard when he walked in. He balances up really nice. You know, I like his look. I like how he carries himself. He's really long-bodied. Could we soften him up just a tick? Yes, I think proportionate to his frame score and proportionate to his body length. We could soften the steer up a bit. When I watch him walk and move around and travel, I think this is one that maybe gets reaching and gets underneath himself a little bit. And I think that, you know, with some time, with some feed into this calf as he grows up, we're going to see him soften up, and we're going to start to appreciate him more. His better days are absolutely in front of him. We're going to end the class with this tan steer. Probably a problem steer in this class for me a little bit. He's one that I really appreciate for his muscle shape, his doability. He's got that mellow, soft look to his center body. He's an attractive steer up in his one front third. Maybe a steer that just when he moves, he gets a little bit underneath himself. And when he's traveling, he does start rolling off that hook to pin angle. Thank you.
Another impressive split. Leading the way in that one is entry number 511, KGBL Casamigos 106M from Gold Bar Livestock out of Caronport, Saskatchewan. followed by entry 510, Mouse, from Blanchette Ranch Limited out of Edam, Saskatchewan. Third in that split, 508, Cobra, exhibited by Lexi Martins out of Strasbourg, Saskatchewan. Fourth, 507, Shabuzi from Hanson Cattle out of Weldon, Saskatchewan. And rounding out that split, entry number 509, Teddy from Bar Down Livestock, County of Barhead, Alberta. And just like to make mention, if any of our participants would like to get a photo with their animal today, they can go to the GMC Sale Arena backdrop for a picture there. Split number 3, already in the ring, leading the way. Entry 512, Herman, shown by Mason Zwicker. 513, Eldom in Doubt, 430M, shown by Addison Barnett. 514, CS Buckshot, shown by Castleton, just Castleton, I suppose. We're missing the last name there. 515, Petey, shown by Tyrell Carlson. And rounding out split number 3, 516, Texas Ranger, shown by Eric Fetz out of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. All right, pardon the little mix-up there. Entry number 514, 514 CS Buckshot is being shown by Castleton Scott from Oakview, Manitoba.
On our third class here, I think this is a class that we see a lot of variation in type and kind in, and I think that we can, look at some steers that in my mind, I can see some different endpoints for. I think there's some different kinds of steers that are going to work in different areas or scenarios. We get up to this top pair of steers, and I think that we see big variation in these two in their type and kind. And I think that, again, this is a class that we can justify these two a lot of different ways depending on just exactly what we're after here today. I think what this comes down to for me is maybe just a case of future in these cattle. We are at a prospect show. We're trying to envision what these things are going to be in months from now, 6 to 8 months from now to be exact. And I just see maybe a little bit more future in this red calf. Now, is he the one that comes out here, again, with all the extras and, the big woofy legs and the big hair? Not necessarily. I mean, he's very well presented today. He's got a really good look about him. But I think when we start talking about the fundamentals of beef production in this one, we start to get a little bit closer to reality. This is a steer that's got a lot of center body. He's big and robust in his rib cage. He's really soft-middled. He's very structurally sound. He gets around with a lot of ease out here, really up-headed and clean and attractive in that head and neck. This steer doesn't have maybe just as much upper hip as the steer second to him today, but I think one that's plenty powerful enough for me, and I think he does enough of the things he's doing right to justify where he is. When we get into this black calf, this is the calf that probably hit me the hardest when he walked out here. He's presented remarkably today, and I commend you on that. This is a calf that I really can appreciate for his look and his real style that he has out here. He's very attractive. I think where I'm going to pick the steer apart a little bit, I would like to see just a touch more forerib in this calf. He gets just a little tight for me behind those shoulders. He's one that maybe just gives up a little bit of that overall power and mass that I'm looking for today. One that I maybe question a little bit where he's at in terms of frame score. Is he going to get to that point that I'd like to see him to be in that competitive weight range this summer? That's to be determined. I'm not going to say that I know that or I have that crystal ball, because I don't. But a really attractive calf. He's big boned. He gets around this ring really nice. He's really big hipped. But one, I just got to critique a little bit on those points today. When we get into the splashed up blue roan steer here, this is your meat and potatoes kind of steer in this class. He's the one that's big bodied, big muscled. He's a steer that I think that we'd all agree that we could feed out a pen of these and be real happy with. A steer that at this stage, in terms of where he is at in terms of maturity and condition, I don't know that he's going to be the one that is going to hold together just as ideally as we'd like him to really get there at the end of the day. But one I can really appreciate, he does a lot of things right. We could square him up in this hind quarter. We could just square him up in his upper hip a little bit and just really see him, come to perfection out here. But he's a really good calf. Commend you. Good job. On this bottom pair of steers, we get into the red calf, one that I really like. He's stout, very big hipped. He's got a really nice look about him, but one that maybe we could tend to just see him carry that muscle a little bit down lower into his hock at this point. He just kind of gets a little bit rolling for me today when he's on the move, and maybe just could see him maybe straighten out them rear legs just a touch. Good steer, good feeding calf. Really be interesting to see him in the summer. When we get into the gray steer at the bottom of the class here today, really nice calf. The young man's doing a good job out here. One that we just got to see, maybe have a little bit more flex in that hind wheel just to get around and see the future in this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Van de Woesten. To go back over split number 3 again, leading the way, Texas Ranger, courtesy of DKF Angus out of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. Second place, Eldom in Doubt 430M, courtesy of Eldom Cattle out of Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Third place, Herman, Bardown Livestock, County of Barhead, Alberta. Fourth place, Petey, courtesy of C7 Ranch out of Mydale, Saskatchewan. And in fifth place, CS Buckshot, shown by young Mr. Castleton Scott from CNS Livestock out of Oakview, Manitoba. Split number 4 coming in, leading the way, entry 517, WCC 449M, shown by Mason Thackeray. Coming in behind him, Scotch, shown by Everly Rasmussen out of Mydale, Saskatchewan. Entry 519, Eldom HGTA 412M, shown by Keelan Eaton out of Humboldt, Saskatchewan. And leading up the tail end of this split is Humphrey, entry 520, shown by Jessa Martins from Strasbourg, Saskatchewan. While we await our judgment for split number 4, I'd just like to make mention of me and Carter were up here just chatting a few moments ago about how full the place is in here today on this freezing cold late November day. It's really great to see that so many folks have come out and braved the weather for this for these youngsters to come and show their stuff. And you know, over here they've thinned out a little bit, but we had a 4-H troop here out of Kitskody Beef Club, 4-H Beef Club. So that's great to see, youngsters. So it's a great sign of the industry that there's young interest, and it looks like it's in good hands. Versatile wishes the best of luck to all participants today. The Versatile Nemesis is the only Canadian-built tractor in the segment designed for the toughest conditions. If you've been traveling around the barns last couple days like I have, you've probably noticed the bright orange jackets with the Cowtown logo on them, the Barn Boss jackets. Those have been kindly provided by Cowtown Master Feeds.
Really tough class here. We're going to start off with a pair of yellow steers that I think are as tough a pair as I found today, and I think that read very similar. And I think they're two that you can probably argue a lot of different ways on this. I think that when we start talking these steers and we start really studying them and studying their bone structure, and we really start looking deep in underneath the hide on these cattle, you know, I'm going to go with the little mellower steer here today. The one that I just find is just maybe a nickel freer moving. This steer in second, I'm not going to argue with anybody, and anybody can challenge me on this. This is absolutely the heaviest muscled steer in this class, and probably arguably the heaviest muscled one we've seen today. Do I see this one maybe going the distance with this one? I think we'd all agree with this placing probably in 4 or 5 months from now. I think when we really start studying how these cattle are built, their cannon bone structure, how they're built up in their shoulder angle, and how they're built, especially in their hock design, I think that's where I start to split hairs on these two. The steer in first, hey, he doesn't have as much up high as that calf. He probably doesn't have as much right in his top right now, but I think he's the one that I feel has the most amount of future in him. The second place steer, he's darn sure good to look at today. This third place calf here, the black one the young man's on the halter with, probably one of the more fresher steers in this ring right now. I think a calf that we probably would like to see with a little bit more weight and a little bit more maturity on him. And I think at that point we're going to appreciate this one a lot more. You know, he just isn't carrying the mass and the muscle that those other two steers are. He's just getting a little outpowered here today. Really good calf. I'd be really interested to see him next June. The steer we're going to end the class off with, I think all we're talking about here is a steer that we're just giving up some muscle and some mass and some power with. You know, a steer that's really put together nice. He really does a lot of things good. Just not carrying the extras today. Really like this calf. I'd like to see him in the summer. Thank you.
Pair of tan steers leading the way in split number 4. That was Scotch, courtesy of 606 Livestock Limited from Mydale, Saskatchewan, leading that one. In second place, WCC 449M, courtesy of Thackeray Land and Cattle out of Weyburn, Saskatchewan. Sorry about that. Third place, Eldom HGTA 412M, courtesy of Eldom Cattle out of Humboldt, Saskatchewan. And fourth in that split, Humphrey, exhibited by Jessa Martins out of Strasbourg, Saskatchewan. Split number 5 is locked and loaded in the ring. Leading the way, entry 521, Big Orange, shown by Katie Kulinowski out of Purdue, Saskatchewan. 522, Rob, shown by Brylan Rasmussen from Mydale, Saskatchewan. Entry 523, Eldom Jig, 427 MET, shown by Georgia Fox from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. 524, Fred, from Rock Creek, British Columbia, shown by Garrett Klein. And coming into the ring, entry 525, Treber Jokers 70M from Beaver Lodge, Alberta, shown by Chelsea Treber. Once your trailer or your truck has been loaded and you're ready to hit the dusty trail back home after exhibition's all said and done, be sure to stop at Co-op. They are the official fuel partner of Canadian Western Exhibition. Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association is a proud partner of the Beef Breed Grand Champion banners. Through advocacy, research, and communication, they are the voice of Saskatchewan's beef cattle industry. Their job is to help you succeed.
Another tough glass thrown at us today here, and I think we're getting into some steers that are a little bigger, a little burlier than we've seen yet today, and I think we're starting to see a lot of quality come out in these classes like we haven't seen so far today. We're going to start off this class in a really close one, but we're going to start off with this colored steer up here. I like this steer. I really like when you get out here and you look at him and you really study him, just how this steer balances up. You know, he's adequate in his body depth. He's adequate in his rib shape. He's adequate in his muscle. Maybe not a steer that just blows you away in any one particular area, but a steer that I think I can appreciate for his overall balance, his type, you know, how he gets around here, his presence, his look. He's just one that kind of is a complete package for me, and I can really appreciate that steer. We get into this next pair of steers, and I think we got to start critiquing them on different things. I like this smoky steer we got here in second. For probably the real world perspective he brings into this, I think it's a steer with a little bit more natural muscle shape. I think he's a steer that has that easy feeding look. He gets around fine. You know, I think he's not as big boned and, you know, and all that stuff as some of the other steers in this class, but definitely one that does a lot of things right, and I think there's a lot of future in this one. You know, we could see this steer maybe just get a little square on those hind wheels for me today. He likes to get in on his hocks just a touch, you know, but we're going to tolerate that here. And when we talk about our third place steer, I think a lot of people in the stands are going to look at him and say, well, this is the biggest hip steer in the class, and absolutely it is. He's all of that. He's got this really cool look. He's long-bodied. He's got all these things about him. What it comes down to for me at this point is I think just skeletal width. You know, we just need a little bit more base width in this calf. That could come with a little bit more feed and a little bit more time. He's one impressive rascal, but this is where he's going to have to sit for today. We get down in this bottom pair of steers. This black steer, I really like him. He's big boned, he's big bodied, got a lot of hip, he's got a cool look to him. A steer that just needs to relax that top a little bit for me today. He's just a little tight in here, and he just maybe doesn't want to present himself to probably where he needs to be. I think he's a steer that the longer we see this one feed, the more condition we get on him and closer to being market ready, we're going to really appreciate him. Just one that's a little hard to analyze today. He's just a little fresher than some of these other steers out here, and we just like to see him relax down a little bit to really see what he is. This orange steer we got here at the end, he's really a complete package. He's a steer we'd like to feed. I think just a steer that probably underwhelms us compared to his counterparts in this class in terms of muscle, in terms of look and style, and maybe just how he gets out and travels and carries himself in this ring. But one heck of a set of steers, and I got to commend all the exhibitors in this class. Thank you.
Another tight split in split number 5. Leading the way, entry number 523, Eldom Jig 427 MET, courtesy of Eldom Cattle from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Second place, Fred from Shaver Cattle Company out of Rock Creek, British Columbia. Third place, Treber Joker 70M, courtesy of Treber Farms in Beaver Lodge, Alberta. Fourth place, Rob, courtesy of 606 Livestock Limited near Mydale, Saskatchewan. And in fifth place, Big Orange from Easy Cattle Company out of Purdue, Saskatchewan. Split number 6 is coming into the ring. Leading the way, entry 526 Goose, shown by Bennett Blanchette from Edam, Saskatchewan. Second into the ring, entry 527 Reno, shown by Brylan Rasmussen from Mydale, Saskatchewan. Third in, Barn Boss, shown by Jackson Martins from Strasbourg, Saskatchewan. Behind him, KR2102, shown by Reed Hunter from Weskatanow, Alberta. Wesetna, I'm told by the fellow up here beside me. Wesetna, Alberta. And coming in behind him is entry 530 Marty, shown by Casey Toner from Kelfield, Saskatchewan. I think it's important to make mention of just how wide of a swath Canadian Western agribition cuts in the agriculture industry. We have a couple of folks joining us today helping out with the show from way down under on the other side of the world. We got Katie over here from New Zealand and Abby over here from Australia. They've graciously joined us today to help out, and they've braved this Canadian cold. So give them all a round of applause. As we await the placing of split number 6, I'd like to give a thank you to our platinum partner, Farm Credit Canada. They are the only lender 100% invested in Canadian culture, and they help make the most of the opportunities with financing and knowledge designed for Canada's ag industry.
I think this will be our last split of steers today. These are the heavyweights, and we look at a big weight variation here from 866 to 1020 on these steers. And I think we see a lot of different shapes and sizes out here. I think we see some different kind of cattle that are probably geared towards some different kind of, purposes in this industry. We're going to come to the top of this class with this pair of black steers that I think I really like, and I like them for different reasons. And I think that these steers are probably geared towards two different things. We've got a solid black steer here that he's showing a lot more maturity. He's showing a lot more condition. I do like him for how he's presented, for how he looks today, what's going on. We got the black steer with the white socks and belly and that. And he's a fresher steer that probably to me is reading with a lot less age, a steer that's reading with a lot less condition, and I believe there's about 100-pound spread in these steers. And I think that, depending what you want, you can talk about this in different ways. Do you want them to be this condition today or that condition, or, what are you targeting? But I just can't help but think, but both these steers are very impressive in their own right. The steer up front, the solid black steer, I really like him for his length of body. I like him for how he's put together, for how he reads in his skeleton. He's got all the right parts. He's got these extras that make him look very impressive out here. And he reads with that market animal look, and I appreciate that. When we get to that steer, like I said, he's the fresher of the two. He's the one that I think is probably going to see some big-time results next summer. I think where I'd like to see him change right now, and probably where we're going to split the difference in here on these two steers, I just would like to see a little bit more muscle shape lower down in that quarter. I'd just like to see that muscle carry down lower. I think that these two steers might meet up again, very highly likely this summer, and it could go either way. When we get down to this bottom trio of steers, I think we start reading into cattle that do a lot of different things in this industry, and I think we got to appreciate that. Today we are at a show. This is a facet of this industry that is small, but it's driven by these cattle that have these really cool parts to them, and we want them with this extra look. And I think that's where we start to give up some in these cattle. They don't maybe have that that killer look and that profile and just stand out and hit you quite as hard. The silver baldy steer, he's one that's packed full of muscle. He's got a really unique build and look to him. One that I think gives up just a little bit in his structural integrity compared to the two steers above him today. One that's a really easy feeding steer, and one that I think is really going to do well for this young man going forward. When we get into the black steer, this is the heaviest steer in the class. He's a little bit over 1,000 pounds. Really nice calf, really big bodied, really big hip on him. One that obviously has got to this point with a tremendous amount of ease, and I appreciate that about him. Where I'd critique this steer a little bit, I would like to see him with just a little bit more forerib. He just maybe tends to fall apart up in his top line and into his shoulder here. I'd like to change that about him. He's carrying a lot more condition, a lot more mass than these other steers. With that in mind, we still got a considerable ways to go with him. When we get into this yellow steer at the bottom of the class, really good, easy feeding kind of steer. One that I really appreciate for his build and how he's put together. And he's kind of a really good conversion-oriented animal. Maybe one that gives up that real big muscle shape and that real big look that those others have above him today.
Well, split 6 was all about the big steers. Leading the way, entry 529 KR 2102 from KR Land and Cattle out of, what was it again? Wasetna, Alberta. Second place, Reno, courtesy of 606 Livestock Limited at Mydale, Saskatchewan. Third place, Goose, Blanchette Ranch Limited, Edam, Saskatchewan. Fourth place, Marty, Fourth Spoke Ranch out of Kelfield, Saskatchewan. And in fifth place, Barn Boss from Jackson Martins, Strasbourg, Saskatchewan. going to be a full ring here in the champion round of the junior steer jackpot. All 12 steers will be coming back into the ring here. Leading the way from the first split, entry 503 Scarface, shown by Tate Wheeler. Bacardi, entry 505, will also be joining, shown by Courtney Hansen. From split number 2, KGBL Casamigos 106M, that's entry 511, shown by KC Buchanan. Mouse will also be joining, shown by Briar Blanchette from Edam, Saskatchewan. Split 3 of the steer show, Texas Ranger, shown by Eric Fetz from Gladmar, Saskatchewan. Split 3, second place, Eldam in Doubt 430M, shown by Addison Barnett from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Out of split 4, WCC 449M, shown by Mason Thackeray from Weyburn, Saskatchewan. Entry 518 Scotch, shown by Everly Rasmussen from Mydale, Saskatchewan. Split 5, entry 523 Eldam Jig 427M ET, shown by Georgia Fox from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. 524 Fred, shown by Garrett Klein from Rock Creek, British Columbia. And finally from split 6, entry 529 KR2102, shown by Reed Hunter from Wasatinow, Alberta. And finally, entry 527 from split 6, Reno, shown by Brylan Rasmussen out of Mydale, Saskatchewan. If you're wanting to work abroad but have no idea where to begin, A Way to Work can help you out. We'd like to give them a special thanks for their support. I can hear the gears turning in our judge's mind, so while he perambulates a little bit over the top spot in the competition, we'd like to give a shout out to John Deere. They are proud of their heritage in making outstanding farm equipment. John Deere dealers continue to live up to the same values the company was founded on: quality, innovation, integrity, commitment, and humanity. On behalf of Agribition and all the exhibitors, we would like to thank John Deere for their involvement in Agribition. Be sure to stop by their booth to speak with John Deere and dealer representatives. Master Feeds Cowtown is a proud sponsor of Agribition and would like to congratulate all competitors for their dedication and commitment to show excellence. They're celebrating 95 years of supplying the nutrition that produces showstoppers at beef shows across Canada.
Well, first off, I'd just like to thank everybody and thank the Agribition Committee for asking me to do this. It truly is my honor and my privilege to be out here. It means a lot, and I'm really commend the association here on and the show committee and everybody for putting this together for these juniors. And we've had a prospect show at Agribition for a lot of years, and we've been on a bit of hiatus, and I'm glad they brought it back in this capacity for you juniors to have the opportunity to show here. I think it's really important to give you every chance to be involved in this as you can in what I would call the premier livestock event in all of Canada. This truly is the place to be, and so I'd like to thank everybody for that, and I just understand how much it means to me to be asked to do this, and I've definitely had my work cut out for me here today, and I want to commend the exhibitors on that. The quality of cattle that were brought forward here today was bar none. I think it was very impressive that the weight on these steers never left a doubt in my mind the entire day from split 1 through 6 that all these cattle are going to reach their endpoints quite easily, whatever that might be for you at whatever particular date. I think that these calves out here are all well on track. They have weight per days that are all appropriate for their age and for this time of the year where they really need to be, and I think that's important. When we get out here and talk about these steers, and I might meet some controversy in the back, and that's fine. I mean, it's just my opinion out here today. I know that not everybody's going to leave here happy, and truthfully, there's probably only a couple of you that really are. We're going to pick a top 5 today and see how I placed them. The thing is, it is my opinion, and the other thing about it is we're really trying to pull out our crystal ball on these calves and try to make a judgment of where they're going to be and what they're going to do in the months before us. And, when I'm looking at these cattle and evaluating them and studying them and analyzing them out here, I'm trying to make reads on their structure, what they're going to do as they grow, what they're going to do as they feed, how they're put together. And this isn't, as much as they look good today, and this is about what they look like today, it's about what they look like in the future as well. This isn't the end point, and this is a market steer division. This is a terminal classification in these cattle. So we're up against that, and that's what we're looking towards. So how can these cattle, how can they feed with ease and feed with minimal stress and get to that end point ultimately in the best care possible by you? These cattle got to have these extra parts, and they got to do these things that we want in the show ring, but these cattle also have to do things that are appropriate in the industry based on carcass merit, based on what these cattle are going to be. Are they profitable for us to own as producers, to breed as breeders, to raise as exhibitors? And I think those are all things that we got to keep in mind and find that balance on. But I do want to commend you guys. What a great set of steers, and I hope that I've done a good job throughout today explaining to you why I did things. Again, it's my opinion, but my hope is that every junior can walk out of here today and at least have an understanding of why I did it, and hopefully have learned something to maybe focus on with your project for the rest of the year. Maybe some flaws to work on or to hide, or things that you can really target on feeding these cattle. Not that I know more than anybody else, but this is an opinion you were given today, and you're going to meet a lot more opinions throughout this current project year, because I'm assuming we're going to see these calves numerous times throughout this year. But one thing I'll leave you guys with before we go out and pick them here today, just as we, in these junior events, I like to hopefully leave everybody with something that I think they can think about. And, I just want to say how extremely blessed that I am to be out here in this industry and be able to work with you guys and everybody. And I'm so thankful for the people in my life who have put time towards me. There's been a lot of people in this industry who have spent time with me and mentored me, and I hope that you guys all, and I'm sure you are, get to feel that experience and to grow up in what I think is one of the best youth programs that you could ever be involved with. And in my life, there's some things that changed here in the last couple of years, and some pretty big major life events. And the one thing I guess that's really struck me, and I want everybody to think about this as you go home here after the show or later on tonight over supper. I had a neighbor one time tell me, he asked me, what is the most powerful thing in the entire world? More powerful than any army can there isn't an army in the world that can stop it. What do you think it is? And I had no idea. And he said, it's time. And, at that point, I was probably 18, 20 years old. And he was teaching me all about investing money and RSPs. And that was the context he meant it in. And the more I go through life, the more I realize that's really not what he meant. And time is something that we can all spend and we never get it back. And I've spent money on a lot of dumb things in my life, and I don't regret any of it because there's always been an opportunity to make that back. But I've also spent time on things that I'll never get back. And I just want all you guys to think about that. And when you do this, remember that there's people here in this show committee. There's people here that have all been in these teams around you in this ring, getting these calves ready, mentoring you. And you're lucky enough that they've chose to spend their time on you. And I want to give the show committee a big round of applause for putting all the work into this that this really takes to put these on. And I want to thank all you families for putting your time into your kids to do this. Because at the end of the day, they're learning so much more than we even realize in here. Whether or not they stay in the agricultural industry or not is besides the point. They all come out of this with these life skills that they are not getting taught anywhere else. And to you young guys out here and to all the juniors in the back that showed in this ring today, when you spend your time, make sure that you spend it on something that you love doing and that just puts a burning in your gut every day. And I wasted a lot of years of my life doing other things that didn't do that for me. And what I really realized is that's got to change, and I don't want you guys to make those mistakes. Do what you love and do it well. So with that, we're going to go out here, and I'll find you your grand and reserve, and we'll do your top 5 after that. Thank you.
Congratulations to our grand champion, entry 529 KR 2102, shown by Reed Hunter from Wasatino, Alberta. Congratulations to our reserve winner, Scotch, out of Split 4, shown by Everly Rasmussen from 606 Livestock Limited at Mydale, Saskatchewan. The results are in for third, fourth, and fifth. Out of split 5 in third place, entry 523, Eldom Jig 427 MET, shown by Georgia Fox from Eldom Cattle at Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Fourth place out of split 6, Reno, entry 527, shown by Brylan Rasmussen, courtesy of 606 Livestock Limited at Mydale, Saskatchewan. And in fifth place, entry 524 out of split number 5, Fred, shown by Garrett Klein from Shaver Cattle Company out of Rock Creek, British Columbia. Well, thank you everyone for attending today on this cold Regina day. It was a great show. I hope you all enjoyed it, and have a Merry Christmas.